Hi everybody and welcome to Jurassic World Evolution. First of all, this is not your regular Jurassic World Evolution gameplay. Not only because I don't have the newest features from the latest updates, but especially because this is a podcast. Yes, a podcast about dinosaurs. The information I'll be providing in this podcast is based on a course from the University of Alberta called Dino 101. Maybe before we start, we should ask ourselves where all this dino knowledge comes from. How do we reconstruct a dinosaur's diet and behavior, or its place in the food chain? Certainly, we can still easily learn about the extant lineage by observing them right now. They are flying all around us, unless they are overwintering somewhere else. But what about the ones that lived during the Mesozoic era? The era of the dinosaurs, the ones that everybody fell in love with, especially me. How do we learn about them? Well, through fossils mainly. The word fossil comes from Latin fossilis and means dug up. But, of course, not everything dug up is a fossil. Stratomymus is a lightly built medium-sized dinosaur, part of a family that has extremely long limbs and necks, with small heads but big brains and large eyes, the Ornithomimids. Did you know that at present only two Ornithomimid genera are known from the late Cretaceous of North America? And they are Ornithomimus and Stratomymus. The first one is characterized by a gracile forelimb and an elongated first metacarpal, which is the intermediate part of the skeletal hand. In comparison, Stratomymus differs from Ornithomimus in having a robust forelimb and a short first metacarpal. Their beaks also differ slightly. In paleontology, the study of ancient life, not to be confused with archaeology, the study of ancient human civilizations, a fossil is any preserved evidence left behind by a prehistoric organism. Take a moment to think about different forms dino fossils can take. I'll give you some time. Well, most of them are bones, of course. Since bones are partially made of minerals, they do not decay as easily as flesh or other soft tissues. And that's why paleontologists need to know a great deal about bones. After all, sometimes it's the only thing they have. And when the only thing you have is a femur, you'd better know how to make the most of it. Alright, what do we have aside from bones? We have footprints, we have fossilized poop, and it even has a name, it's called coprolite. We can also find eggshells sometimes, and in rare instances we can even find skin and feather impressions, like the iconic Archaeopteryx fossil for example. If you haven't seen it, type Archaeopteryx fossil on Google Image and contemplate the feather impressions. I won't spend too much time on this, because most of you probably already know, but dinosaurs came in all shapes and sizes. Some were less than a meter long, as adults, like Microraptor for example, while others were truly ginormous, long-necked sauropods, for example. And I think Jurassic Park and Jurassic World didn't really make a very good job in showcasing small and lightweight dinosaurs. The only one was Compsognathus, but small dinos were abundant, and without them you couldn't support the existence of medium-sized carnivores. By the way, what's your favorite dinosaur, and what features do you like most about this dinosaur? If I had to speak for myself, I would say that my favorite dinosaur is the T-Rex. And I know that this opinion is quite mainstream, but I really love the T-Rex. It was the culmination of a predator that lived in the Cretaceous period, and I really like the shape of its skull. I also really like in the Ceratopsids Triceratops, Styracosaurus, Chasmosaurus. In the theropods, I really love Spinosaurus, Acrocanthosaurus, Herrerasaurus, Utahraptor, or even Deinonychus. In the sauropods, Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus. have stolen my heart. There has been some debate as to whether Triceratops and Torosaurus were the same species, and a few empirical studies have shown that they are actually two different species. One of these studies examined the cranial morphology of 28 skulls in lateral view and 36 squamosals of Triceratops species and Torosaurus species, and they concluded that Torosaurus was a distinct and valid taxon, whether looking at the entire skulls without the frill, frills alone, or squamosals. I want to take some time now to talk about the most common form of fossil, bones, and how they can help us understand about the dinosaur lifestyle. First of all, without bones, you'd be a blob. Bones act like supporting pillars. They provide anchoring for muscles. They protect your organs, such as your brain, and they store minerals that animals need to grow. And sometimes when food is scarce, they can access the calcium in their bones. Now that I've covered the main functions, let's talk about the skull and the jaws. First of all, the skull is not a single bone, but instead it's made of many bones that are tightly locked together. Skulls provide a lot of insight into a dinosaur's lifestyle. The upper and lower jaw and skull may contain teeth or include a beak, and knowing that, we can actually learn about a dinosaur's diet. We can also obtain clues about a dinosaur's cognitive capacity by looking at the size of the brain case, which is the hollow chamber that houses the brain. The skull also has several holes. The nares are the pair of openings for the nostrils, the orbits for the eyes, and in some groups of vertebrates, like the dinosaurs, we can find additional openings, called fenestrae. Behind each orbit, on the lateral side of the skull, dinosaurs have two fenestrae called lateral, temporal fenestrae. Then, on top of the skull, dinosaurs have an opening called supratemporal fenestrae. Both the laterotemporal fenestrae and supratemporal fenestrae provide extra room for large jaw muscles. So, a dinosaur with a very weak bite force, for example Struthiomimus or Gallimimus, wouldn't need that extra room, or at least not as much as, say for example, T-Rex, because their jaws don't need to accommodate such powerful muscles. There is a third pair of fenestrae between the orbits and the nares. They are called the antorbital fenestrae, and truth is, we are not really sure why they evolved. One hypothesis is that it made their skull lighter. The other one is that it housed large sinus cavities to warm the incoming air that they breathe. How would you actually test these hypotheses if you were a paleontologist? Tough question, right? And that's all for today. I hope you've enjoyed this little lecture. Hope you found it informative and relaxing, and see you guys very soon.
guests is what we strive to maintain here on the islands. We do that by making sure their needs are met. In a way, it's kind of like taking care of the dinos, just with more demands and less understanding. Am I right?
Things are looking good around here, huh? I love what you're doing with the place.
I like what I'm seeing. Let's keep it up. Satisfaction is what we aim to give our guests. Make them appreciate the little things. And the big things with the teeth and glassy eyes that can swallow the